Hi everyone, it's Kim. Thanks for joining me. When we looked at Tim's holiday vault collection, I thought that is probably the end of his releases this year, but he had a surprise up his sleeve and he released yet another vault series. And this time it was for the side orders that work in the Sidekick die cutting machine. So, taking you real quick down memory lane, these are some of the original side order dice sets that work in the little Sidekick machine. So you can see there were quite a few different themes here. They had smaller size dies to work on smaller cutting plates. And they even had a little embossing folder. So you can see here the embossing folders were pretty small. But he has come out with some new vault or a new vault series here for his Sidekick machine. So we're going to take a look at those. We're going to start with one that was one of the original side order sets. So it was made to work in the Sidekick Sidekick, and you could see how small the plates were. So that meant the dies were small enough to fit through this. Now, if you have a regular size die cut machine, as long as it can cut thinlits, it will still work. You don't have to have just the Sidekick. But when we take a look at these and my well-loved cutting plates, you can see that these fit on these smaller plates. And what was the advantage to having that? Well, sometimes you could just, if you were die cutting away, you could pull in a small machine and just do everything in front of you rather than having a large machine, or maybe you were traveling or going to a crop or something and you wanted a smaller machine. Now, there are other companies that do have the smaller machines out, and I borrowed the new Scout, the Spellbinder smaller machine from Susan, because I know sooner or later my Sizzix is going to be on its last legs, because this has many, many, many miles on it, and it does not last forever. That I know. So I wanted just to kind of compare sizes. And again, if you have one from another company that cuts thinlits, that'll work as well for this new side orders. But I wanted to see some of the differences. So for the Scout machine, it opens up, so it has a little longer plate. And I am by no means an expert on Spellbinder die cut machines, but it has several plates so you can make different sandwiches, and it does tell you on the bases what the sandwiches are for your die cuts or your embossing folders, just depending on what you're doing. But what I wanted to do was take it for a test drive and then also compare the different size of the cutting plates. So this first one here, which you can see, is from the Sidekick from Sizzix. It's quite a bit smaller than the cutting plate from Spellbinder. So let me do this and maybe we can see that Spellbinder's plate a little easier. So just again, your personal preference. They both work. They both cut thinlits. I can cut more at one time with the Spellbinder's plate than I can with the Sizzix plate. But again, depending on how big of a machine you want to deal with and why you have a smaller machine, there may be a specific reason, whether you're traveling or going to crops, that you want to have something a little smaller. So just know that these die sets will work in other machines than just the Sidekick, and if you have a full-size machine, they work in that as well. So let's look at some of the dies here. Let's start with the Love Note side order, because this came from an original side order set. And this is the original. You can see how big the embossing folder is compared to the new embossing folder. And you can also see the different sizes of the dies. So the colored ones are from the new set, and the black ones are from the original set. And then the arrow, I'm not sure where that came from. That may just be a new addition. Tim has not done a YouTube live, so I just kind of set out and went on a little journey through his index to do some research to see if I could find where maybe the original set came from. So let's take a look at what we can do with some of these. We're also going to look at the letterboard side order here in just a minute. This is the letterboard embossing folder plus the alphabet and the numbers. Now, I don't have the original set. It was letterboard. It was called letterboard. It was a big die for these letters. So I don't have that original set to do a comparison as far as sizes for the letters and the numbers. But I want to play with this one for just a second. I'm really not quite into Valentine's Day yet, but I had a couple things out. I thought I want to try to make a full-size card using a smaller die. So this is what I came up with. And I pulled out that great hand from Spellbinders once again. And the full-size hand is from the Bestie Heart in Hand. And it's holding the candy box from the Love Notes set. And so this is a mini slimline card. And then I just pulled out a smaller alphabet. And I went back again to the vault dies that came out this year from Tim. I thought I'm going to try to use those as much as possible. So this set, this alphabet set, is from the Vault Hippity Hop. It was just kind of a nice narrow letters. So I thought I'm going to use that. That worked well. And then I pulled out the other hand set from Spellbinders as well for my next one. Again, I'm using this box of candy, but just like the lid part, the top layer, and I combined it with the heart hands. Now, I had promised myself I was not going to use these hands like a heart, but this heart top box from Love Notes fit perfectly in there. So I couldn't resist. I thought I've got to use those together. And then I knew I had a selection of nested heart dies from Karen Burniston at the ready. So I just pulled out her Hearts crosshatch, and that just cut out a nice size heart that I could put my hands on top of. And then just one last little idea. Again, using these hands, I just used one of them, and this time I used the little envelope. And you can see how the heart is like seals the envelope closed, but I thought I'm going to leave my envelope open, and I'm going to make a little note card for inside. I just cut that out, and then I used the hearts to act as a pull tab, so I could write something on that, and then just tuck that back in there. And the box that I used is from Karen Burniston, the Candy Hearts box. So it came with these little hearts, candy hearts that have a little message on them, and I could just die cut and set them inside the box top there. So as soon as the candy hearts hit the store shelves here in January, probably, I can fill this up with the candy hearts for my recipient. But that gives us an idea of how we can use the smaller dies with on a full-size card. We don't just have to use something small. Now, let's take a look at a couple more. We're going to use this letterboard one here in just a minute. Let's take a look at two more of the new Sidekick sets that came out, because I'm going to be mixing and matching these, and that's what's great. We can mix and match these sets along with other sets. So the first one is the Christmas Mini Side Order. Here's the new set, and here's the embossing folder that goes with that. This came from a regular Thinlet set, and this is called Christmas Minis as well, but there were more dies in this than what's in the new set. And these original dies are actually quite a bit smaller than the new dies, but we can see the new ones still fit on the cutting plate, and we can cut several at a time. So that works great for some Christmas images. And then over here we've got Fresh Brewed. So this is the new Fresh Brewed, and it has a neat embossing folder as well. You can see how all those coffee cups are embossed, and this is the size of the embossing folder. And I'm going to mix and match these. Now, on the Fresh Brewed one, that came from a big die called Fresh Brewed. I don't have that. There was also another set, a mini Fresh Brewed die cut or die set, which I don't have as well. And the embossing folder, I did managed to find that the original one was called On the Go. I don't have the original embossing set either. So on this one, all I can compare is with the Christmas Minis, the original set. But I want to combine these two because I have a great need for some gift card holders for my husband for his team for the holidays. And what I love is I'm going to show you several different ways that I've mixed and matched these so I can kind of semi-customize these without going to too much work. So this is what I have created using this box from Karen Berniston. Let me just show you that because it's a nice big box. This is a slider box, and you can see it's 4.5 by 2.25. So it's a little bigger than the Matchbox that we've seen in the past. This embossing folder fit perfectly on top of this. I didn't have to cut it down a lot, make a lot of different changes. You can see where I've used the coffee cup. And on mine, I didn't use this like plastic piece on top. I just used the whipped cream. And then this time I combined it with the snowman. And these guys are pretty easy to cut out and assemble. So then on the inside, I can load it up with candy, some kind of treat, even though we have a gift card in it. You always want to load it up. The Ghirardelli chocolates, I can get 4 of them in there. So that's a nice amount of chocolate, plus plenty of room for a gift card. And then I used one of the layering dies in this set. So the slider box has some pieces that I could layer on if I want to decorate my box more. I just took out one of the decorative pieces, and this I will cut out, and my husband can write a personal message to each of his team members. Put that in there, put in the gift card, add in that chocolate, and I could do 2 or 4 pieces, just depending on how many come in the bag of candy, and then of course I'll need a few extra for me left over. So I'll determine whether I put 2 or 4 in, but I will have over 10 of these to make. So I will need an assembly line way to put all of these together. But I can change out how I want to decorate the top. So let me show you some other ways that I've combined these. I have used different packaging just to show you that you don't have to stick with the same old box. So this time I have used the pizza box from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I know we saw this when we were looking at our Halloween treat boxes. And it too comes with a bunch of different layering dies, but I'm like, I need to keep these simple just because I have a lot to make. And second, probably a lot of these are going to end up in the trash. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on each one. But I used this time again the coffee cup and put in the candy cane and the ivy and the berries, or the holly and the berries. And again, I'm pulling back from some of Tim Holtz's vault dies. And here's the rosette. This is from the vault rosettes that came out earlier this year. Perfect background for that little cup. And then on the inside, I've got plenty of room for a gift card. Fill this up with candy or whatever. And for the gift card, like on this one, I just used a little mini glue dot to hold it in place so it's not sliding all over the place. And then I made another one, but this time I combined some different pieces. So this time I used the cup, and I used the whipped cream from this coffee cup, the candy cane. I had an extra snowflake laying around, and I used the gingerbread man, and you can use whatever cap. So this guy doesn't have one. I could use either the snowman's top hat or Santa's cap. So I used Santa's cap for him. This little swag here is from another new side order set called Celebrate. We'll take a look at that. But again, I was able to pull something else in. And my doily in the background here is from another vault set from Tim. This one is called Vault Boutique. I love this doily, but the paper that I was using to create it with was kind of some foiled paper, and it didn't cut very well. So all those little pieces didn't drop out, but I thought I don't want to waste it. Most of the pieces stayed in. I can still use it. It's a decorative piece. And then on the inside, I just used a different one of the cups, popped it up on some foam tape so I could put a gift card behind that as well. And again, used a little glue dot to hold that in place, but that gives me a different shape depending on what I want to put in with my gift card, or I could just put treats in there. I don't even have to use it for gift cards. A couple more just to show you the different packaging ways for our gift cards, plus different ways to use our new side order die cuts. So I may not want to make everything a traditional red and green. It may be more appropriate to have just some holiday colored dies. And I loved making these little coffee cups because I could just go through my scraps and just cut them out like crazy. So I have a bunch of coffee cups cut out, ready to go. This time I used the snowman. He's peeking out from behind, and a snowflake that I had sitting on my desk. I used the steam from the cup this time for a little different look. And this little this little envelope comes from Tim and his collector set. And I just like this because it was not your typical little envelope. So that will hold perfectly a gift card as well. Might be a little tight for candy, but it will definitely hold a gift card. So if I was mailing something, I could stick this into a card for someone, and then they'd have a special little kind of gift wrapped gift card. I think I just have one more coffee one here to share with you. Again, this one is pulling stuff I had off my desk. So I've used the coffee cup, the gingerbread man again. This time he's coming out of the top of the cup with Santa's cap. And I used that holly and the berries. And I had an extra sled sitting on my desk from Karen Burniston's Snow Charm. So again, if you've got some little extra pieces, this is another good way to use them up and combine them. The embossing folder here is from the Celebrate Side Order set, which we'll look at in just a minute, a little different. And I used the pillow box this time as my gift card holder because it holds the gift card plus some candy. These were easy to make. Again, from Tim's Vault series. This is the Vault pillow box and bag. So super simple to make this and super easy to decorate it with his new side order dies. And then one more, I use this little bag here because this would be a great one to put inside like a card I was mailing. So it holds a gift card perfectly. No coffees associated with this one. This is just the snowman and the candy cane. I did do something I shouldn't say totally unassociated with the fresh brewed side order. I took the whipped cream here and made it some snow. So instead of sticking it in the top of a cup like this one, I just made it some snow for my snowman. And the Vault Boutique here, let me find that real quick. I've got so many of them running around. That's where the frame came from. So the frame is from also this Vault die set. So it was great to go back and be able to pull out some of the dies that I've acquired earlier this year and now use them for my holiday gift card needs. And one last one, again, nothing to do with the fresh brewed side order, but I've got my gingerbread man. This time he's wearing the snowman's hat and he's got the candy cane. And this is using the small box from the candy box from Karen. And again, I'm not sure what I just did with that, but we looked at that earlier with the heart hand. So again, just another way to have a different size box that accommodates some candy and a gift card. Just another look for our gift card collection needs. And one last one, this time with Santa. This has nothing to do, again, with the coffee. This is using the slider box, so the bigger box that holds plenty of candy. This time I used the letterboard and the embossing folder that makes the letterboard. So I could put whatever message I want. The swag, again, is from Celebrate. We'll take a look at in just a second. on Santa. I'm going to flip him around. There's that little whipped cream again from the Freshly Brewed set. So I just added a little extra dimension to his beard. So if you want to do something a little different with that. And then these light bulbs are from Karen Bernison's Penguin and Reindeer Snowman. Now I know we looked at the light bulbs earlier and I didn't have this die set in front of me, but I want to show you this because I thought that was so neat how I could add these little individual light bulbs. And I'm going to show you on another one what these look like when they're cut out because they're folded over and then I just attached them to that swag. So once again, I had something ready to go just sitting on my desk, so why not use it? So that pretty much covers everything in the Christmas minis and the fresh brewed. So let's take a look at the last set, which is called Celebrate. And this one, I did use some of the pieces with the holiday sets, but to me, this one can be used for any kind of celebration. So here is the new Sidekick vault set. You could see here the embossing folder, and Celebrate Colorize is where the original dies came from. And the originals are just a tad bit bigger than the new Sidekick, but they both fit in the Sidekick cutting plate. So you can see you could still really use the original colorized dies with the Sidekick. But it's nice to have just kind of some different sizes, and I just did one sample for this since I have such a need for my coffee ones. But again, here's that larger slider box, the letterboard embossing folder, and the letterboard letters, and I could put whatever message, but the hat fits so nicely on this. Here's the swag. We used that one earlier, but now I can use it with this set. And here are some more of those lights. And I know it seems kind of weird. Maybe why would we be using these for something that's not a holiday? But you could really use these for any occasion. But I wanted to show you this when you die cut them out. They come out like this, and then you fold them in half, and that's how you get this look. But I thought, it's kind of neat to see them open. I could add more color to the top of my box. So I decided just to do that. And then on both of them, I added a little clear glaze that I had just to make those lights a little shiny. So 5 new Sidekick side order sets that we can use for multiple occasions. Like right now, I am so busy thinking of my needs for gift card holders, and this allows me to mix and match and make kind of semi-custom containers, especially if I'm making some for a large number of people that are basically can see what each other has. But don't forget that, you can also use these in a regular size card. You may just want to mix them up with some other dies that you have. But again, another perfect vault set from Tim that we can use with each other and with other dies that we already have in our stash. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again in a future video.